I'm going to do you a favor, brother. I'm going to leave it to you. Because if it comes out of my mouth, and I sit up there and I literally articulate, I'm going to lose my mind. I ain't going to be able to do the rest of the show. I'm telling you right now. It comes out of my mouth. I'm not going to be able to control myself because I'm barely able to right now. You listen to this. I can't take it.
One-on-one, I'm undefeated, never lost.
It's on crack. I can't take this.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rico Report. I am not Rico, but my name is Steve Mathis. You can find me on Twitter at Judge Mathis. Filling in for Rico today, and I'm not going to lie to you. I think this is maybe the second time I have tried to do this thing solo. So please have some patience with me. Hopefully I don't have too many panic attacks. And I remember months ago on the BF tailgate, I tried doing the first half an hour by myself. And I said to myself at the end, I'm never doing that again. That was the longest half an hour of my life. But here I am trying it again. So I'm riding it solo, but I'm not really solo, am I? Because I have the terrific comment section with me. Got Carl the Killer Gamer, D. Handsome, Don Keith in the house, AK Cash in the house, Alexander in the house as well, Josh Clark, a bunch of you guys in the comment section, Jason Taylor as well. Good to be back. I've Colin's in the building as well. I have been on vacation, so I have been in Houston, San Antonio, Austin. I've been living it up on my faux honeymoon. I just got you can't see it there. Just got married right at the end of June. There, went on my honeymoon the first week of July. Not really a honeymoon, as my fiance will call it. She will say that stop calling it our honeymoon. We just went to Texas because it was the cheapest trip. She's like, you're taking me to Europe next summer. But I'm back, and in order to be ready for the air raid hour on Monday, I felt like I needed to get my feet wet, get back into the game by filling in for Rico here on the Rico Report. And obviously the title, I got to get used to this. I get what am I pointing at here? There we go. The title of today's show is going to be, are the Buffalo Bills the best team in the AFC East? A lot of you guys were already in the comment section early on, like, what, is this a joke? What are you talking about? Why is this the topic of the day? They're the best team in the AFC East. I think it's a foregone conclusion the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the AFC East, but I want to break it down position by position. I want to break it down coach by coach. Like, I want to seriously break down the AFC East team by team, and I want to power rank each position, and I want to take a look at the coaching staffs and compare, and maybe it might be a little closer in the AFC East with a couple of teams than a couple people think. But we got Peter coming in all the way. Quick question. What kind of question is this? And that's what we're going to get to today. But before we get rolling, I must say, along my travels, my favorite place in Texas was San Antonio. And that's because I went to this place called the Historic Market Square, and I found this gift. And as my co-host on the Air Raid Hour on Twitter called it, he said, that's one of those gifts where you don't know you need it until you realize it exists. And when I was in Texas, you could see a picture of me here. I got, and it's a Buffalo Bills insulated beer shaft. Now, a whole bunch of jokes galore on Twitter about the fact that I used the word shaft, but that's what it was called right there on the tag. NFL official Buffalo Bills insulated beer shaft. Now, what some people didn't see was on the other end of that, it's kind of like a lawn chair where you can just strap it over your shoulder and you can literally fit like 6 to 8 beers in that insulated beer shaft. So I will be in attendance on August 29th in Buffalo, New York. You saw the promo when we got things rolling tonight. The Buffalo logo, Croom Photos, Buffalo Fanatics Golf Tournament. Now, apparently it's already sold out, but you can go and you can maybe see if you can register or maybe try and work the event. August 29th, I will be in Buffalo. I know Pierre's going to be there. Z-Bot's going to be there. Working on getting Rico over the border, working on getting my main man Tilt Money, and Stevie Johnson, Jordan Poyer are going to be there. It's August 29th at the Harvest Hill Golf Club. So get ready for that. We're going to have exclusive interviews with Jordan Poyer, Gabriel Davis, Stevie Johnson, a whole bunch of competitions, and it's going to be a fun time. So maybe you're already signed up. If you're already signed up, let me know. And I will see you there on August 29th. It's going to be fun to get back to Buffalo. Still trying to work on a flight because of COVID. The flights are a little crazy right now. But I will be there. I'm making a solemn promise right now. I will be there on August 29th, hitting balls with the boys. I'm going to bring my insulated beer shaft with me. But let's get things cooking tonight. And I want to break down the AFC East. My buddy Kyle Knapp, Geary, they broke the internet today. They did a little bit of a podcast, Knapp Knows Buffalo. You can catch it on Buffalo Fanatics Podcast Network. You can catch it right here on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube. They did a great job breaking down what they thought was the best positional players, like individual players on offense in the AFC East. And it sort of gave me an idea to sort of not individual players. We're not going to compare the starting quarterbacks of every team and the starting running backs of every team, the starting receivers. I want to compare the actual groups of players, the running back room, the wide receiver room, the offensive line. Depth can be included in all these things. And I want to break down position by position the rosters of the AFC East. And obviously every roster starts at the quarterback. It's a foregone conclusion that Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the AFC East. So my question to you is this. Who has the shot, or who has the second best quarterback situation in the AFC East right now? So what I want you guys to do in the comment section is I want you guys to tell me, and I'm going to read some of your responses here. Who has the second best quarterback situation in the AFC East? If you weren't the Buffalo Bills, if you were, if you were just looking as an outsider in the NFL, who do you think has the second best quarterback situation in the AFC East? Is it the New York Jets, Zach Wilson, backed up by second-year middle-round draft pick in James Morgan? Is it Miami Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa and Jacoby Brissett? Jacoby Brissett's the new closer for the fourth quarter, taking on that role of Fitz. Or is it the New England Patriots? Cam Newton has maybe some new weapons that will work well with the arm that he has left in Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, or maybe even possibly Mac Jones. So what do you guys think? We got Xander coming in. He says, honestly, I think the Jets have the best quarterback situation in the AFC East. Don coming in says Cam and the Patriots. Bill Belichick, he might not have spent wisely, but he spent. Hunter Henry, Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, Jonnu Smith. Maybe the talent around Cam Newton can bring it on back. Chris Janke coming in saying, I think it's the Pats. Neither are good, but I feel like they will at least make the offense go to their strengths. So the coaching staff comes into play a little bit. Richard says Miami with Tua and Brissett. Alexander comes in and says, I'm thinking Tua, then Cam for the second and third QBs. Maurice, been a while. Nice to see you, Maurice. He says the Patriots. I'm going to show you guys my list now that I have accumulated here. And I looked at it like this. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills are number one. And the way I looked at it when I was, when I was accumulating this list and making this list, I got the Jets number 2, the Dolphins number 3, and the Patriots number 4. Now, Bills Mafia STF comes in saying Jets, that's a bold take considering not one QB on the Jets has ever thrown an NFL pass. That's why. Honestly, that's why. If you're a Bills fan, right? And, Thanos comes and snaps his finger and Josh Allen ceased to exist. And, Roger Goodell comes up to you and says, you can pick any quarterback in the AFC East to replace Josh Allen as your starting quarterback. Who are you picking? Because that's going to be my number 2. Are you taking Cam Newton on this Buffalo offense? Like who are you going with? You're going with the highest upside. I'm going with Zach Wilson. Dawn says she's putting the Jets last again. That's all right. We're all here to have a conversation. We can agree or disagree. I'm going with the Jets number 2 because I think that Zach Wilson has the highest upside of all those players. I don't know if Tua really meshes with all those weapons that they have in Miami. We're going to talk about the coaching staff in Miami in a little bit. Who's even calling plays there in Miami for Tua? The Patriots, Cam Newton. The dude's arm is shot. I'm going with Zach Wilson. He's got a LaFleur calling plays. He's got some decent talent around him. They're going to try to establish a running game, not to put too much pressure on him early. So I'm going with the Jets, and I'm going with Zach Wilson as the second best quarterback in the AFC East. Then I'll go with Tua, a little again upside top 10 pick, followed by the Patriots who have Mac Jones there. But let's move on to running back now, because running back is where it might get a little bit interesting. Who has the best running back room? Who's got the best running back room in the AFC East? Let me know your thoughts. Who do you guys think has the best running back room in the AFC East? Is it Buffalo with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, Matt Breida, Antonio Williams? The New York Jets with LaMichael Pirine, Tevin Coleman, Michael Carter, Ty Johnson. New England, Damian Harris, James White, Sony Michel, I always screw up his name, but Stevenson, the rookie, Ramadre Stevenson from Oklahoma. Miami, Myles Gaston, Malcolm Brown, Jared Dokes, who's a young running back that I like a lot, and Salvit Ahmed. Who are we going with? Who has got the best running back room in your guys' opinion in the AFC East? To me, I'm just looking at it. I'm not a big fan of the running back rooms in the entirety of the AFC East. I know that bell cow backs really aren't a thing anymore, but I mean, woof, the running back talent in the AFC East, not so hot. We got Bills Mafia STF coming in saying Pats, Fins, Bills, Jets. We got Randy coming in saying Bills, no question. So it's going to be really interesting. King Thriller comes in saying people put down his Buffalo running game, but honestly, I like it. Even though we don't have the best running backs, when we use them, they get 5 yards to carry. Just my opinion. Richard Rush has the Jets at number 4. Chris Jenke says, I think the Pats are number 1, but a part of it is because they're running behind that Pats offensive line. I think that definitely has something to do with it. Alex coming in saying that there's an underwhelming running back group here in the AFC East. So here's my list. I think Randy's not going to appreciate my list, but I had Patriots, Dolphins, Bills, and Jets. I went with the Patriots number 1 because number 1, and Chris Jenke coming in a little bit saying Pats, Bills, Dolphins, Jets. I'm with Richard and a bunch of other you guys in the chat here. I think it comes down to schematics. I think the best running back room probably lies, or the best running game in the AFC East this year is going to be the Patriots. And they have a really good offensive line. We're going to get to the offensive line a little bit. They have probably going to have an emphasis on the running game this year because of their lack of ability at quarterback. I picture New England this year trying to play really solid defense, run the ball on first down, run the ball on second down, and just trying to pick up and be consistent on third down in third and short situations and try and dunk the ball down the field because that defense that they have is filthy. We're going to get to the defense in a little bit. So guys like Damian Harris, guys like Sony Michel, guys like Stevenson, guys like White, like they're going to get a lot of work, both as pass catchers and as runners. So Damian Harris is sadly the best back because he's in the most productive situation. I'm gonna agree with you there. The reason why I put the Dolphins number 2 is because I'm just really a big fan of Myles Gaskin. I think that Myles Gaskin is the most versatile running back in the division. I think he's probably the best running back in the division. He might not have the size, but he's got the speed where he can take it to the house. He's got the shiftiness. He is a really solid pass catcher. This is a guy who's probably going to run for 1,000 yards this year because you're going to count on him a lot in the running game in Miami. And he's a guy that's going to get a lot of play, in the passing game. Could have 50, 60, 70 catches in the passing game. So Myles Gaskin's very dynamic. I would love to have a Myles Gaskin on the Buffalo Bills, the way the Buffalo Bills like to toss the football around. And that leads us to the Bills. I kind of had to take my fan glasses off here, right? Like I had to take my fan goggles off. I like Devin Singletary. I like Zach Moss. I like Antonio Williams. I like Matt Breida. I'm confident that this running game is going to improve this year. But when I just pieced it all together, Patriots are going to be running the ball like crazy. Myles Gaskin's a more dynamic running back. As much as I like the talent the Buffalo Bills have, I think the Bills maybe have the deepest running back room. I think you can make an argument they have the deepest running back room. I just couldn't put them above the Patriots and Dolphins because of the emphasis I know the Patriots are going to put on the running game and the number that those running backs are going to put up, and the dynamic ability of a guy like Myles Gaskin. And I really do like some of their backups. Ahmed, Dokes, I think could get some run and all those different things. But and then the Jets are last, which is weird, right? Because Robert Saleh's coming in from San Francisco, and LaFleur, one of the LaFleur brothers, Mike LaFleur, brother of Matt LaFleur, coming in to be the OC. You think you're going to have that sort of zone run, Kyle Shanahan run first type of offense there. They didn't really put an emphasis on adding running backs. They added Tevin Coleman late in free agency. They drafted Michael Carter in the 4th round. Like, it wasn't like, oh, we need to go get this guy. He fell to them. I remember watching one of their behind the scenes things. Robert Saleh's like, we were going to take in the 3rd round, but there was just, they traded up for Vera Tucker or whatever. Thank God you slipped to the 4th round. So they didn't even have enough like faith in Carter to like go up and get him. He just fell to them. So between Carter and Coleman and Ty Johnson and LaMichael P. Ryan, who doesn't really fit that zone run, even though I think the Jets running backs over time are going to rise up that that chart, because I think that's going to be the offense that they kind of run. I just don't see it right now. All right, so that leads us to wide receivers, guys. This one's pretty easy, in my opinion. I think obviously the Buffalo Bills have the best wide receiver room in the AFC East. I mean, they go left to right. Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, Gabriel Davis, and they even got, depth options to you. I'm not going to go into like the Isaiah Hodgins of the world or the Marquez Stevensons of the world, because those are more projection, but they have a proven guy who has done things in this league in Isaiah McKenzie. You look at New England, it's not pretty, but they got tight ends. They got a good offensive line. They're going to have a good running game. These receivers aren't the god-awful receivers they had last year. Aguilar, Bourne, Myers, Marvin Hall, and Trey Nixon. Miami, Will Fuller, the speedster who can't seem to stay healthy. Devontae Parker. They drafted Jalen Waddle, top 10. They still got Preston Williams, and they got Jakeem Grant. And the New York Jets, Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Jamison Crowder, who just reworked his deal there, Elijah Moore, who they got in the 2nd round, and Keelan Cole, who's one of the more underrated sort of depth receivers in the National Football League. So where are we going here? How are we ranking the wide receivers in the AFC East? We got King Thriller coming in saying Bills, Dolphins, Pats, Jets. Alexander coming in saying the Bills are the studs in the the receiver room. Randy's giving me a hard time saying, oh, you're not going Dolphins on this one, Judge. Chris comes in. Chris has got the Dolphins number 2 as well. Look at this. Me and Chris are of like mind here. Says Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Pats. Bills should be top 5 in the NFL with our receiver, says Richard. I like that one. So still going to miss John Brown, but we do have Sanders. So we got Josh Clark coming in saying Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Pats. Same order I had. And Brian Freedom coming in saying wide receiver, Jets, Bills, Finns, Pats. So he's got the Jets ahead of the Bills. Wow. All right. So interesting. And then Don says the Bills are way ahead at wide receiver. I rolled the same way that a majority of you rolled here. I got Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots. The thing that really, in my opinion, put the Bills over the top is Stephon Diggs. The Bills have the bona fide alpha. Corey Davis has been a number 2 his entire career. He fed off of having another guy there in Tennessee in A.J. Brown when he was having some of his best seasons. Devontae Parker, to me, he's more of a number 2 than a number 1, but you could make an argument that he is a low end number 1 receiver. Will Fuller can't seem to stay healthy, more of just like a deep play threat, not an all around receiver. Denzel Mims is still young. Jalen Waddle is still young. So to me, having that bona fide guy there in Stephon Diggs, and then having that bona fide all pro, mind you, too, slot receiver in Cole Beasley, surrounded with other players like Sanders and Davis and McKenzie, put the Bills at number 1 for me. The Dolphins just had too much talent in guys like Preston Williams, Devontae Parker, 2 possession guys and 2 speed guys in Fuller and Waddle. The dynamic ability of Waddle put them over the top of the Jets. The Jets are young too, but the Jets have a pretty solid receiving core. The receiving core outside of New England in this division, not all that bad. Like, pretty good. The Dolphins and the Jets did a good job of surrounding their young quarterbacks with some weapons. So Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Jamison Crowder, Elijah Moore, Keelan Cole, like Zach Wilson's going to have some things to play with. Tua's going to have some guys to play with. So it should be really interesting. So that leads us to the next one, tight end. What's the best tight end room in the AFC East? I think there could be some division here between New England and there could be some division here between Miami, because Miami obviously has Mike Gesicki. They also tout Adam Sheehan, Dustin Smythe, and the rookie Hunter Long. The Bills obviously have Knox and Hollister, guys like Reggie Gilliam, Tommy Sweeney, Quentin Morris. The New England Patriots, they got Hunter Henry. They got Jonnu Smith. They also got some young guys who are still developing, Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene. Dalton Keene being a Buffalo Bills draft community favorite a couple of years ago. Didn't have the rookie year I think a lot of people expected him to have in New England there. And then the Jets, Chris Herndon, Tyler Kroft, Ryan Griffin, Kenny Yeboah. So what do we got here? We got Randy coming in. I think there's a little sarcasm here. He says Bills, no question. King Thriller coming in says Dolphins, Pats, Bills, Jets. So he got Mike Gesicki trumping the twosome there in New England. Chris has got Pats, Miami, Bills, and then the Jets. King Thriller says I could switch Pats and Bills around if we see Knox break out the season. That's true. So, it could be all about the alpha in the room. Sometimes alphas make or break the room. That's just the thing. Like, oh, this team's got some nice depth, but this other team's got an alpha that just puts them over the top. For some people, like earlier, Gesicki was that alpha. and Randy says he's not kidding. Randy says he is not kidding. Don says Patriots by far with Hunter Henry and Jonnu. AK Cash says the Pats have the best room. John Herring says the Pats have the best room. Richard Rush says Miami, the Patriots, the Jets, the Bills, unless Knox and Hollister show up. We got Maurice Alexander coming in saying Pats, Fins, Bills, and Jets. Randy Hardman coming in saying with Duke at tight end, we have the best tight end group in the league. Chris coming in with that as well. All right, here's my list here for tight end. Patriots, Dolphins, Bills, and Jets. I went with the twosome of Jonnu and Hunter Henry. I think they're going to be a big part of what New England does on offense. I think they're going to be running 12 personnel a ton. I think 12 personnel is probably going to be their base package, the package they use the majority of the time on offense. I think you're going to see those guys get a ton of targets. I think Mike Gesicki is the most talented tight end in the division, without a doubt. I think he's one of the better tight ends in the league. I think he goes he's criminally underrated because of the quarterbacks who have been throwing him the ball. Mike Gesicki can go up and get it with the best of them. Is he an all-around tight end who can block? No. He's a glorified big slot receiver, but damn, he's a really good one. I think Mike Gesicki could be in conversations with the Darren Wallers of the world if he is used properly. So maybe some consistent receiver play in Miami this year. The receivers stay healthy maybe, with Waddle and Parker and Fuller on the outside, Preston Williams, Jakeem Grant, maybe with more consistent play from the quarterback. If Tua can find his rhythm, Gesicki will finally start to get the touches, the targets, the looks that he deserves. I think he's the second best tight end in the league. And then it came down to the Bills, and they don't have bad depth either. Adam Sheehan can come in. He could be your number 2 tight end in 12 personnel. Same with Smythe. Less so, I think, offensive upside than Sheehan. And then Hunter Long. I really liked him in the draft process as a number 2 tight end. Reminded me a lot of like a Tyler Kroft, a guy who's just going to be a average blocker and an average pass catcher over the seam. Another solid number 2 tight end. So you got Mike Gesicki, who's for sure that big slot. And then you got 3 other guys who can sort of do a little bit of catching, do a little bit of blocking, do a little bit of everything. So they got a nice mix there in the Dolphins tight end room. The Bills, I had the Bills number 3 because of it's the battle of upside, right? It's Dawson Knox versus Chris Herndon. And how many years have we been saying Chris Herndon's going to break out? He's on every single one of my freaking dynasty teams, buried on that bench. I'm gonna He's going to be on my bench until the day I die. I think this is the year the Chris Herndon experiment in New York comes to an end for the New York Jets, because I've already heard some rumblings that Tyler Kroft has usurped him in OTAs. They also have Ryan Griffin, and they also have another project in Kenny Yeboah. I know he was a UDFA, but Kenny Yeboah is a decently athletic tight end as well. So the Chris Herndon experiment might finally be over in New York, and that leaves them with like a lot of middling players. And I see a couple of Zach Ertz jokes in the comments as well. But Dawson Knox, even though the Bills are going to utilize tight end less than the Jets, because again, it's that LaFleur system where George Kittle and a couple of those other tight ends have come out of. They utilize the tight ends a lot in those formations. Even though the Jets are probably going to utilize their tight ends more, I still think the Bills tight ends are going to be better, just because I don't really like the talent too much there in New York. So I think this is the year that Dawson Knox finally finds his groove. I don't think he's ever going to be elite. He's never going to catch up to the Jazickis or the Hunter Henrys of the world. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think that he'll carve out a nice niche for himself, even though the ball isn't maybe tossed to the tight end as much in Buffalo as other places. So I got the Bills 3 ahead of the Jets there. And I think Jacob Hollister is a pretty solid number 2. Once you get to number 3 tight end, Tommy Sweeney, Reggie Gilliam, you really can't go wrong. Chris Jenke asked me, how does this list change if we acquire Ertz? It doesn't. Maybe they push the Dolphins because now you have Ertz, and then you have Dawson Knox, who I think could play off of Ertz really well. But at the same time, are we going to use 12 personnel? So it's interesting. I don't think the list changes, because I don't think Ertz usurps Jazicki, and I don't think he usurps the combination of Jonah and Henry. And I don't think the volume is going to be there for Knox and Ertz to get the full value out of those two to elevate them. So I don't think it changes at all. But Josh Clark disagrees. He says, I think we jump the Dolphins for sure if we get Ertz. So it'll be interesting to see if that trade ever happens. But I'm done holding my breath for that trade. All right. That brings us to the final part of the offense, and that is the offensive line. What do you guys think is the best offensive line in the AFC East? I'm going to read them off here, and you can give me your rankings 1 through 4. You can tell me who you think is the best. You can tell me who you think is the worst. Let's roll through and let's talk about the best offensive lines in the AFC East, or rank them. All right. So on the offensive line for the Buffalo Bills, I think it's going to be from left to right: Dawkins, Ford, Mitch Morse, John Feliciano, Darrell Williams. I think Forrest Lamp could possibly usurp Cody Ford. Maybe Ike Butker could usurp Cody Ford. But other than that, I think 4 of the 5 guys are set on that offensive line. Left guard is the only real question. New England, I think their line is pretty set. Isaiah Wynn, who they drafted in the first round, he struggled with injuries. Michael Onwenu, who had a pretty good rookie season, moved around a ton, but really found his niche at guard. He's taken over now for Thuney, who's left for Kansas City. David Andrews, really good center. Shaq Mason, really good guard. And then Trent Brown, who had a lot of success in New England, went to Oakland, fell off a cliff, but now is back in New England. That's New England's offensive line left to right. Miami's Austin Jackson, big project at left tackle, hasn't lived up. We got Michael Dieter at left guard, who they like, but they also drafted Liam Eichenberg to compete at left guard, which I thought was odd. So it's probably going to be Austin Jackson, the rookie Liam Eichenberg, Matt Skura, Solomon Kinley, and Robert Hunt left to right. A lot of draft picks there, right? Austin Jackson, 1st rounder. Eichenberg, 2nd rounder. Solomon Kinley, 4th rounder. Robert Hunt, 2nd rounder. A lot of high draft capital, but a lot of raw players on that offensive line for Miami. And then New York Jets left to right, pretty solid offensive line here. Mekhi Becton, Elijah Vera Tucker, Connor McGovern, Greg Van Roten, and Morgan Moses. Pretty solid offensive line. So what do you guys have for me here? Going to go through. We got Chris Jenke coming in saying he thinks it's the Pats, the Bills, the Jets, and then the Dolphins. We got Randy Hardman coming in saying Bills easily. Cody Ford puts us over the top, Stallone style. And hey, who knows, right? Cody Ford's fun. Brandon Beane made this comment, right? He said, and Cody Ford, it has never been healthy his entire time in Buffalo, and they moved him around. So what happens if Cody Ford does get healthy? Cody Ford does live up to that second round hype. And now you have a really good pass protecting center in Mitch Morse, who's good at pulling. You got 2 decent tackles in Dawkins and Williams. And then you have 2 bigger, bulkier, more, road grading style players in Feliciano and Ford sort of protecting Mitch Morse there. So if Cody Ford can elevate his game, Buffalo could for sure be the number 1 offensive line in this group. Richard Rush coming in saying Pats, Bills, Jets, Dolphins. King Thriller coming in saying Bills, Pats, Dolphins, Jets. Xander coming in saying Pats, Bills, Jets, Fins. Don comes in, says Bills easily, Pats, Miami, and then the Jets. AK Cash coming in saying Bills, Jets, Pats, Fins. I literally don't know this. So just a total guess. Hey, offensive line play, it can be a fickle thing. And there's not a lot. I'll tell you what, if there are injuries, right? If there's a huge injury wave along the AFC East on the offensive line this year, the Buffalo Bills are number 1 because they're for sure the deepest. Patrick Garrett coming in saying, I really hope Ford can be good, but Lamp or Feliciano will fill in the spot, no problem. Xander says the Jets should be the best, but inevitably won't be. Very Jetsian thing to do. Jets could move up to number 2 ahead of the Bills, but they need to gel. I like that. Pat should be number 1, just like Josh is number 1 receiver and Diggs is number 1 receiver. My list, I want maybe a little homer here, but I put the Bills at number 1. And here's why. The Buffalo Bills offense is Josh Allen. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to toss the ball a ton this year. And what the Buffalo Bills want to do on offense, their offensive line is perfectly built to do. Deion Dawkins is there to protect Josh Allen's blind side. Darrell Williams is there to protect Josh Allen's the other side, the right side. Mitch Morse is one of the smarter, more agile centers in this league, a veteran presence. I think maybe it goes a little under the radar how much he might have been helping Josh Allen these past couple of years, having that veteran there. What I don't like about New England, because I know a lot of people said New England number 1. New England number 1, yeah, because they're going to run the ball so much. They're going to probably look good if they run the ball effectively. And an offensive line with Isaiah Wynn, Michael Onwenu, David Andrews, Shaq Mason, Trent Brown, like, oh man, they're going to run the football. They're going to run the football. David Andrews, really good center. Mason, Onwenu, really good guards. Isaiah Wynn at left tackle on that blind side. He's got that injury history. He hasn't quite lived up to that number 1 pick status. If your biggest question mark is your left tackle, that dinged them for me. And also Trent Brown. Everyone just assumes he's going to come in and refine his New England form. But guess what? Dante Scarnecchia has retired again. For those of you who don't know who Dante Scarnecchia is, he's one of the most acclaimed, if not one of the best, if not the best, offensive line coaches in the National Football League. He has been Bill Belichick's right-hand man for years and years and years. And about a half decade ago or so, he retired. And the Patriots offensive line fell off a cliff. And guess what happened? Within a year, he was out of retirement, and they were back to being one of the best offensive lines again. He retired again. So there's no Dante Scarnecchia to maybe remold, Trent Brown into what Trent Brown was. There's no Dante Scarnecchia to continue working with Isaiah Wynn and fixing Isaiah Wynn. So might be a little random, might be a little different, but of a take here. But I'm putting Bills at number 1 because they do what they do best. They protect Josh Allen. Patriots number 2 because they're going to be able to run the ball well, but they got questions at the tackles. The Jets are just super solid. I think Connor McGovern and Greg Van Roten bring them down. It's going to take Elijah Vera Tucker a little bit of a while to adjust. Mekhi Becton is still adjusting in the National Football League. So much talent there. Morgan Moses was such a freaking great late signing for them. I'm super upset that Morgan Moses fell into their laps. That makes George Font probably the best swing tackle in the AFC East. So they do have some depth there at tackle in New York. A little jealous of that, but I'm going to put them at number 3. And then the Dolphins number 4, just because there's so many projects. The Dolphins got a ton of talent on the offensive line. There's just so many projects there. So I did a little bit of a thing with this, right? I assigned, as I was going through this process, I assigned a number. Whatever team got first on my ranking, I gave them 3 points. Whichever team got second in my rankings, I gave them 2 points. Whatever team got third, I gave them 1 point. Fourth place, they got 0. And if you add those totals up between quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, this is what I got for offense. My offensive score, you could say, for these teams. I gave the Bills got 11 points with their accumulation of points. The Jets only got 4, Dolphins 7, Patriots 8. So the Buffalo Bills, at least based on this very unofficial numerical system here, have the better offense, or have the best offense in the AFC East on paper. But offenses on paper only work if you got the right guy calling the play. And that's what I'm going to be this might be controversial here. I think the Bills are the best offensive staff in the AFC East. So I want to talk about the coaching staff a little bit. I think the Buffalo Bills have the best coaching staff in the AFC East. The way that the players talk about Brian Daboll and the way he builds a relationship with the players, absolutely unreal. And on top of that, he is proven to be a very, very good play caller. And he created an offense last year, even though we couldn't get the ball rolling, an offense that scored a ton of points. I think that puts him ahead of that Patriot machine and Josh McDaniels. I think the Bills have the best staff. The Jets, I put number 3. They got that LaFleur name there on offense, coming from San Francisco, Mike LaFleur. Oh, but he's never called plays before. He's never done this before. Like, why are you ranking him number 3? Well, Miami still doesn't have a play caller yet. So, there are good weapons in Miami, and Gesicki and Waddle and Gaskin and Parker and Fuller. Like, there are so many good players there. They don't even know who's calling the plays yet. It's between Eric Studesville, the running backs coach, former Bills running backs coach, former interim head coach of the Denver Broncos, and George Godsey, former, Bill O'Brien disciple, was in Houston for a while, quarterbacks coach there. They literally don't know who's calling plays in Miami yet. They went from their OC the first year, whose name I'm blanking on. He was with New England forever. It was too complicated. So they went with Chan Gailey, who then retired in order to not embarrass himself by being fired. They're now under their 3rd offensive coordinator, and Brian Flores couldn't make up his mind. So to me, the Dolphins, like, no matter how much talent you have on offense, it's going to be for naught if they can't put it together with their coaching staff. So that's something as Bills fans, we need to keep our eyes on, is what's going on with the play caller there in Miami. And we play them week 2. So I'm pretty pumped about that. The fact that they're probably still going to be in shambles in week 2. I mean, they got the preseason to put it together now. They give a full preseason, but still, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with the coaching staff. All right. So let's switch it over to defense now. I want to talk about pass rush. Pass rush, getting to the quarterback, getting pressures on the quarterback. Who's got the best pass rush in the AFC East? And I want you guys to tell me who you think has the best pass rush in the AFC East. And we're going to go through it. And I'm going to read you guys' comments. You can rank them 1 to 4. You can tell me who you think is best, whatever floats your guys' boat in the comment section. But for Buffalo, you obviously got Mario Addison, Jerry Hughes coming back, Ed Oliver. These are your big time pass rushers. Sean McDermott likes to blitz those linebackers, blitz a guy like a safety. So he likes to have that sort of mystery blitzer. AJ Epinesa, Gregory Rousseau, Carlos Basham are all being groomed to get to the quarterback, sort of still in development, being rookies and second-year players. The New York Jets, they're thin at pass rusher. Obviously, Quinnen Williams and Sheldon Rankins are going to do some work in the middle of that defense. It's a good combo of defensive tackles. But defensive lines, they rotate. There's not much behind them at D tackle. At defensive end, they're super thin. They went out and they paid Carl Lawson. That's great. That's one guy. Who else do they got? Kyle Phillips, Vinny Curry, Ronald Blair. A lot of projects. A lot of guys who are more on the redemp or towards the latter end of their careers. Not a lot of depth there in New York. Miami, Emmanuel. First of all, DVOA had them as a pretty solid pass rushing team last year. They retained Agba. They retained Van Ginkel. They retained Christian Wilkins. And they added Jalen Phillips in the draft, who a lot of people think was the best pass rusher in the draft. And then New England. New England's got a hell of a lot of names here. On top of rebulking that defensive line with Devin Godshaw and Harry Anderson and bringing back Lawrence Guy and drafting Christian Barmore, these are the names of the guys that they have rushing the passer. Matthew Judon, Kyle Van Noy, Dante Hightower from the linebacker position, Dietrich Wise, Chase Winovich, Josh Uche, who came on strong late last year, and Ronald Perkins, who they drafted in the middle rounds. A lot of pass rushers in New England. So Who do you guys got? Like, who do you think is got the best pass rush in the AFC? We already got Richard coming in here saying he thinks the Bills because of pressures, not sacked. Alexander can't wait to see Rousseau and Basham in action. Don Keith points out Matthew Judon, who I definitely got my mind on. I think he's the best pass rusher in the AFC East right now. John Herring says, I think we had a down year on D. I think that's where we make our biggest leap. Patrick Garris saying we could have the best D line this year. Patrick Garris says depth alone. I'll talk about how deep we are. And then Don ranks it Patriots, Bills, Jets, and Dolphins. And then Richard comes in and says, Van Noy is Allen's bitch. I don't think you guys are going to like Chris Jenke coming in ranks it Pats, Bills, Dolphins, Jets. I don't think you guys are going to like my rankings. I have it Patriots, Dolphins, Bills, Jets. So number one, the Patriots is just the sheer depth of pass rushers alone. I think they have the pass rusher in Judon. They have another savvy veteran in Kyle Van Noy. Bill Belichick gets his toys back on defense because they got the pluggers and now they got the pass rushers too. Just the wave of depth they have of guys coming at the quarterback like Winovich and Uche and Perkins. Dolphins were number two. They had a higher DVOA pass rush than the Buffalo Bills last year. They got rid of Van Noy. They got rid of Shaq Lawson. They added Jalen Phillips. So this is one where I'm willing to go back and forth. I'm willing to say maybe the Bills are number two. I was trying to look at it through more of a lens of, I just think the Dolphins maybe got some guys who can get to the quarterback more so than the Buffalo Bills. And then the Jets were number four because it's Carl Lawson and it's nothing else. It's Carl Lawson and it's nothing else. Patrick Harris says the Jets are 2 years away. That's true. Like Roberts, they're switching from a 34. And we're going to get to this when we talk about linebackers and when we talk about run defense. They're switching from a 34 under Greg Williams to a 43 under Robert Saleh. So a lot of different, a lot of different changes are going to be made and a lot of different schematic things. So that Jets defense, you can't really look at the statistics from the last couple of years to sort of gain any insight into how they're going to do in future years. Chris asks, what's DVOA? It's Football Outsiders. It's analytics. Essentially what they do is they break down the film and they break it down into situations. Like if it's garbage time, like they're not putting as high a percentage on pass rush as in, critical situations and things like that. So it's not actually like box scores. It's more like situational analytics and combining that to give teams an overall score. I like to use DVOA as opposed to other things because, things like yards and all that stuff and sacks, they can sort of be clouded by situations and by like, oh, we were playing pre-vet defense, this, and this. I use DVOA to bet. Like I usually make tons of money. So I trust DVOA in terms of where they have players ranked, but Football Outsiders, highly recommend it. It's about $4.99 a month for a membership. A lot of good information, a lot of good statistics there from Football Outsiders. Richard went in, he went with the projection, if the rookies produce. So a lot of good Steve situation there. And then Nickel City Mafia coming in saying DVOA stands for defense adjusted value over average. So yeah, it's adjusting the value to some of these sort of situations. So all right, so on to the next one, and that's run defense. Who's got the best run defense in the AFC East? When we're looking at who has the best run defense, you look at the Buffalo Bills. Stars back. Horrible Harry bulking up, as we saw on social media this afternoon, looking pretty swole. The linebackers are healthy. Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds come back healthy. Tremaine Edmonds makes that jump. Star-Loaded Lele comes back. This run defense could be severely improved. You look at Miami, they got Raekwon Davis, they got Zach Sealer, they got Christian Wilkins. They've obviously got guys like Agba and Van Ginkel. They added Bernardrick McKinney, and they got Jalen Phillips as well. The New York Jets, Quinnen Williams. And again, Quinnen Williams is the only name I'm pointing to. Sheldon Rankins, maybe. Carl Lawson's not exactly like a run stuffer. Like, you look at the New York Jets, they were really good last year against the run. in a 34. Now it's a transition to a 43. They're going to get lighter at the edge. They're going to get lighter at linebacker. They're transitioning to college safeties, Jamie and Sherwood and Hamza Nasidrline to linebacker. They're getting smaller. I know CJ Mosley's back. You know, you could point to Quinn Williams, CJ Mosley, all that stuff, but I think the Jets are going to be in for a rude awakening, adjusting to a 4-3 from a 34. It's hard to overhaul all that talent in one off season. And then you look at New England, Lawrence Guy, Christian Barmore, Devin Godchaux, they added Henry Anderson. They added guys like Bentley and Van Noy and Hightower, Judon. Again, this Patriots defense is stacked, in my opinion. I'm going to get to this later on. I think the Patriots could have an historically good defense this year if a guy like Stephon Gilmore actually suits up and plays for them. But we got some takes here. Richard Rush coming in saying Pats, Bills, Fins, and Jets. Chris Janke reminded me that CJ Mosley's back for the Jets. John Herring says we ran on the Pats pretty well last year. Here's the thing though. We ran the Jets pretty well, or the Pats pretty well. That was schematics, right? So Josh Allen's rookie year, what did Bill Belichick do? He made Josh Allen throw the ball a ton because he didn't think Josh Allen could handle it. And he was right. That just shows you the progress that Josh Allen has made over the years, because now Bill Belichick's game plan last year was, we're going to drop everybody back and you can run the ball on us if you want. We just don't want Josh Allen to beat us. So that was more schematics. It was sort of like a prevent defense for the run. They're like, we'll give you the run. Just don't throw it on us. Not to mention the opt-outs that they had were absolutely insane. They lost a lot of talent opting out. They went from the best defense in the NFL 2 years ago in DVOA to the worst in one season. A lot of that had to do with the opt-outs that they had to deal with. AK Cash coming in saying Pats, Fins, Bills, Jets. Don Keith coming in saying Pats, Bills, Dolphins, Jets. And then Chris says, put 7 DBs out there. That's what the Pats did. No one's gonna be a big fan of my list here, but I am going with Patriots, Dolphins, Jets, and then I am going with the Buffalo Bills. I can maybe be convinced that the Buffalo Bills should be moved up from 4 to 3. But here's what I got to say for the Buffalo Bills. You got to prove it to me. I got to see it. I've been hurt too many times. For me, the Bills run defense has been an issue since Sean McDermott got here. They go through spells where they have some really good games and then they have some really god awful games. So to me, this is me telling the Bills, this is me trying to give the Buffalo Bills some bulletin board material. Go out and prove it. Go out and prove it. I need to see it. I need to see it from the Buffalo Bills before I'm willing to give it to them. That leads us to linebackers. Who got the best linebacker room in the AFC East? So we talk about linebackers. Look at Buffalo. Tremaine Edmonds. Does he take that next step? Does he not take that next step? Matt Milano, new contract. AJ Klein. They added Tyrell Adams, who I think is a good fourth linebacker, a guy coming if somebody's hurt and he can contribute. The New York Jets, CJ Mosley. They brought in Jared Davis. They got Blake Cashman, who's a linebacker that I really liked out of Minnesota a couple of years ago. I think he gets to go into his more natural position as a weak side linebacker in a 43 now. They've got Hamza. They got Sherwood that they're developing as linebackers as well. You look at Miami. They added Bernardrick McKinney. They got Jerome Baker, Van Ginkel, even though Van Ginkel is mostly used to rush the passer. New England, they get Dante Hightower back, who I think is one of the most underrated linebackers in the league. They got Jaywan Bentley. They drafted Cameron McGrone to sort of develop. And then they obviously got Kyle Van Noy as well. So what are you guys' thoughts on the linebackers? We got Chris Janke coming in saying Bills, Pats, Jets, Dolphins. We got Chris Janke. This was his run defense here. Pats, Jets, Dolphins, Bills. Run defense is our Achilles heel. So what do we think about in linebackers? Are the Bills linebackers number one right now? Or the Bills linebackers does Tremaine Edmonds need to take a step? Does Tremaine Edmonds need to take a step for the linebackers to be number one? Where do the Bills fit? Where do you rank these linebacking cores 1 through 4? I'll share mine and then I'll read off some of yours here. I got the Patriots number 1. I think Dante Hightower is an absolute menace, and I think he is the conductor that makes Bill Belichick's defense work. I think that just him alone puts the Patriots number one for me. Obviously, they also have guys like Bentley and Van Noy to go along with it. I think if Tremaine Edmonds takes the next step, the Bills are number one. Because I think they host the most depth at linebacker or the most star power at linebacker with Edmonds and Milano. And then obviously some good depth pieces in Klein and Adams. I have the Jets at number 3. Really like Cashman. CJ Mosley's a stud. They got some other linebackers that I like as well. And then I got the Dolphins just for lack of just like Bernard McKinley's not a bad linebacker. Jerome Baker's not a bad linebacker. But they're just thumpers. They're nothing special. They don't have very versatile linebackers there in Miami. So I'm going to go with Patriots, Bills, Jets, Dolphins, but I'm willing to listen if anyone wants to try to convince me to move the Bills up. We got Don coming in saying Buffalo, Miami, the Pats, and the Jets. Richard Rush coming in saying Pats, Bills, Jets, Miami. We got John Herring coming in saying Tremaine Edmonds ranked number 2 in the NFL in tackles for loss or at the line of scrimmage. Edmonds is only 23, says Patrick Guerra. Guy was the leader of our defense. He will improve. Bills and Pats are close. I think the Bills' depth and Edmonds taking a step makes them number 1, says Chris Jenke. Tremaine Edmonds does need to take a step up, says Alexander. And then Pats, Jets, Bills, and Finns, says AK Cash. So a little bit of faith in those Jets linebackers. Interesting. I really like Blake Cashman, by the way. I think I'm really excited. As much as he's an AFC East opponent, I'm really excited to see Blake Cashman play in a 43 defense, because when I was, scouting him for the draft a couple of years back, I got Milano vibes galore from Blake Cashman. So it'll be really interesting. I was really mad when the Jets took him. And Don says she went high on Miami because they are a very stable group. No stars, but several are good. Van Ginkel is a scrappy guy. I don't weigh him as much because he's used more as a pass rusher, but you're right. For what Bernard McKinney does, very good at what he does. Baker, for what he does, very good at what he does. So, it'll be really interesting. And that leads us to the secondary. And this one was tough. This one was real tough. I feel bad for 2 and 3 on my list here, but who's got the best secondary in the AFC East? Buffalo's got Trey White, Levi Wallace, Teron Johnson, Dane Jackson, obviously is going to be, a force in that CB2 competition. They got probably the best safety tandem in the league in Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. And then obviously I think DeMar Hamlin's going to play a role sort of like Dean Marlowe in that dime defender role this year. So very good starters for the Buffalo Bills in the secondary. New York Jets, they might be a couple of years away. Robert Saleh, good luck with Bless Austin, Breece Hall, Javelin Guidry. They have some younger guys that I like, and Jason Pinnock and Michael Carter and Brandon Eccles. Obviously Marcus May at safety, Ashton Davis, and they added a veteran in LaMarcus Joyner as a third safety. Miami, Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, Noah Igbenegene. They added a good nickel corner and Justin Coleman to hopefully rebound his career there. Javon Holland they drafted in the second round to go along with Eric Rowe. They got Brandon Jones as well and Trill Williams in that secondary, and then New England. Well, you've seen it. Stephon Gilmore or no Stephon Gilmore. Gilmore, J.C. Jackson, Jonathan Jones, Jalen Mills at corner. They got Adrian Phillips, Devin McCourty at safety. Kyle Duggar sort of, going into year 2, what's Bill Belichick going to do with him? And they added Joshua Bledsoe, who's another dime nickel defender as well. So very deep in that New England secondary. So what are your guys' thoughts? What are your guys' thoughts on the secondary and how the Buffalo Bills stack up with the other two, in my opinion, Miami and New England, very talented secondary. The AFC East hosts 3 of probably the top 5 secondaries in the National Football League. It's pretty crazy. Y comes in saying the Jets are always a couple years away. Hey, that's a story of their lives. That was always us. So thankful it's not us anymore. Chris Jenkins says the Jets are not last at secondary. I'm turning off this app. Don't worry, they were last on my list. Barry comes in saying Barry Cumberbatch coming in saying Buffalo has the best secondary, but single individual talent goes to Miami. Cameron Taylor comes in and says Bills, Patriots, Dolphins, Jets. Don says Bills have top 4 in nation. So this is a runaway. I think it might be a little closer than that. Barry says Bills, Fins, Pats, Jets. Bills are the best, period, says John Herring. Can Buffalo still swoop up Sherman? Maybe that would change the rankings. They could. Patrick Garrett says, can't wait to smack everyone again. Don says Bills, Miami, Pats, Jets. Dried Ocean coming in saying Fins, Bills, Pats, Jets. Juan Castillo coming in saying Bills, Pats, Fins, Jets. Richard Rush saying Miami, when healthy, Pats with Gilmore. Who's going to be our number 2? A lot of questions. Miami, Pats, Bills, Jets. Chris Janke coming in saying Bills, Dolphins, Pats, Jets. This is largely based on Gilmore's uncertainty, but if Gilmore stays, they swap with the Dolphins. That's all right, Don. We're all homers here. And then Jason Taylor coming in saying Pats, Dolphins, Bills, Jets. So it'll be interesting. My list, the homers are not going to be happy with me. I think it's a clean sweep for the New England Patriots. I think the New England Patriots have a chance to have an historic defense this year. I think they're going to have the best defense in the league, in my opinion. I think people are sleeping on just how good this New England defense is going to be. They're going to be a problem both for us in the AFC East and for the NFL at large. I think their problems at quarterback are probably going to keep them from being too big of a threat. But I mean, yikes, that defense is, as they would say in Boston, wicked scary. It's wicked scary. I got the Patriots number 1. If Gilmore plays, I would bump them down to number 2 or even possibly 3 without a guy like Gilmore, because who knows if JC Jackson can do, what he does without Gilmore there. Then the Bills number 2, the Dolphins number 3. I think talent wise, the Dolphins are probably better than the Bills, but the Bills just seem to piece it together better and play better on the field. And then obviously the Jets at number 4 because they are still very much a work in progress. All right. So if we're going by my totals here. All right. I said, whoever I gave first place to gets 3 points. Whoever I gave second place to gets 2 points. Whoever I gave third place to gets 1 point, 0 points for last. We're going by the numbers here, right? Bills got 16 now. The Jets bringing up the rear with 7. The Dolphins 11. And the Patriots are 20. So the Patriots are ahead of the Bills right now in terms of like on paper, these power rankings, et cetera, et cetera. It's getting a little interesting. Obviously, we still got to talk about coaching staffs, special teams, and there's a couple other things I got to throw in at the end. Defensive coordinator, defensive coaching staffs. I'm putting the Bills at number 3 behind the Patriots and the Dolphins. And here's why. And I think Robert Saleh is a very good defensive coordinator. I just don't think he has too much to work with this year. I put the Bills number 3 for one reason and one reason only. They baffled me with some of their decisions last year. Not replacing Starlo Delele. You knew he wasn't playing and you did nothing to fix it. You didn't problem solve. And they had some good games in the playoffs, and I was tempted to put them ahead of the Dolphins because of that. But at the end of the day, the Colts shredded them in the wild card game. Josh Allen won us that game, and the defense cost us the AFC Championship game. So, like, if you look at it, like, they got slashed in a lot of games last year, and I can't get over the fact that they couldn't figure out how to replace Starlo Delele. They had all season to figure it out, and they just couldn't do it. So that's why I put the Bills number 3, and then followed up by the Jets, just because the lack of talent. Robert Saleh is a good defensive coordinator, a good defensive mind, but he's only got so much talent to work with there right now in New York. And that leads us to special teams. I'm going to roll through special teams real quick. I'm going to give you my rankings here. Kicker, Dolphins number 1, Jason Sanders, 36 of 39 on field goals last year. Great onside kicker, great kickoff specialist. The man does it all. Jason Sanders, one of the more underrated players in the league. Dolphins number 1, the Bills number 2 with Tyler Bass and his upside. 3, the Patriots got a steady-ish kicker in Nick Folk, and then the Jets bring up the rear with Sam Ficken. Punting, Patriots number 1 again. Jake Bailey, one of the better punters in the league last year, all pro, I believe. Dolphins number 2 with Michael Parladay, a guy the Buffalo Bills wanted as well, former Carolina guy. Bills are number 3 with Matt Haack. Matt Haack is just wildly inconsistent. I think the biggest reason the Buffalo Bills brought him here was because like he's better at holding kicks than Corey Borges. I think that was a real thing. I think the Buffalo Bills were really concerned about holding for extra points, which Matt Haack, Chris Janke, sorry. Matt Haack is better at. And then the Jets bring up the rear. Braden Mann, they used a high draft pick on him, 5th round pick, but statistically wasn't great last season. And then the return game, Gunnar Olszewski, was a really good return man for the Patriots last year, all-pro again, I believe. Dolphins number 2, they got the Jalen Waddle factor to go along with Jakeem Grant. It came down to 3-4, Bills Jets. It's Isaiah McKenzie maybe versus Braxton Berrios maybe. So I gave the Bills the upside because I think they have a higher upside player there in Isaiah McKenzie to the Jets. And that leads us to, again, our point system here. After special teams, Bills are behind the Patriots in terms of the roster on paper, but we still got the coaching staff left. So my question to you guys is this: how do you rank head coaches? How do you rank? Chris Jenke says Michael Parladay sucks. He should be number 4. But how do you guys rank the head coaches in the AFC East? This should be interesting. Bill Belichick, the evil emperor. You got Sean McDermott, playoffs 3 of the last 4 years, took us to the AFC Championship game, Mr. Process. You got Robert Saleh, the new coach there in New York. Really like the vibes I'm getting from him, very McDermott-like vibes. And then you got Brian Flores, sort of the Belichick disciple, who's a little bit different than Belichick. And the fact that he's maybe a little bit more open, a little bit more personable. So in a league that's all about offense, we got 4 defensive-minded head coaches in the AFC East. How do you rank them? Dawn says she's got to go with the evil empire. John Herring says if Bill Belichick has another losing season, he might retire. Chris Jenke says, are you factoring in? I did not factor in Gunners. I did not go that in depth. But Matthew Sater and Saran Neal would definitely be 1, 2. Dawn, so Dawn says it's Belichick, then McDermott, then Robert Saleh. Jason Taylor says it's Pats, Bills, Dolphins, Jets in terms of head coaches. Pats, Bills, Jets, Flores. Hated how he handled Tua last year. So a lot of different takes here on the head coaches. I went with this. I went with Sean McDermott number 1. Sometimes they say, you're drafting players, for potential, or in free agency, you're signing a guy and giving a guy money based on potential, what they're going to do, not exactly what they've done, not prior production. I'm going to give a little bit of a projection here to Sean McDermott. He's got the franchise quarterback, not Bill Belichick. So I think if we're projecting into the future, I'm going with Sean McDermott, the guy who was 2-0 against Bill Belichick last year. Forever, Bill Belichick had the franchise quarterback. He had the Bills number. Now the Bills have the franchise quarterback. I think the Bills are going to have the Patriots number. So I put Sean McDermott, head coach, above Bill Belichick and his history. I know that sounds crazy, but I did it. I put the Dolphins number 3, just because, they played well last year. A lot of good points in the comment section about how he handled Tua. And then the unknown for Robert Saleh obviously puts him at number 4. There's some questions around Robert Saleh because he comes from that Kyle Shanahan tree. And Kyle Shanahan is sort of that, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, right? Like, he chokes in those big situations. You saw what he did in Atlanta. He had a chance in the Super Bowl, lost to the Chiefs. Like, Kyle Shanahan has made some questionable coaching decisions in his career, as good as he is and as consistent as he's been. Is Robert Saleh going to learn from those mistakes that Kyle Shanahan made? Is he going to be similar and make those same mistakes? So there are some questions around Robert Saleh too, even though he's a different guy. So I'm going with the projection. I'm going with the projection, and I'm putting, Sean McDermott ahead of Bill Belichick there, and that might get me flamed a little bit, but I'm doing it. So that leads me to my final leaderboard. Patriots 34, Bills 27, Dolphins 21, and the Jets 8. So there you have it, right, ladies and gentlemen? The Patriots are the best team in the AFC East. They got more points in my very unofficial point system. No, not so fast. Because I did that point system, right? And I added up all those points, but then I just kept thinking to myself, the Bills, I think the Bills skill position players like Stephon Diggs puts you over the top. The secondaries were just so close. I hate that one team got 2 more points than the other teams because of how close it was, and all of these different things. And at the end of the day, too, we're forgetting one thing: the franchise quarterback bonus, plus 10 points, baby. The Buffalo Bills are the best team in the AFC East. And the reason why they are the best team in the AFC East is because this guy right here, the franchise quarterback bonus, Josh Allen. I got some tweets that I've seen on social media the past couple of days, and I want to share them. Number one, Dan Orlovsky says in Josh Allen's last 30 starts, he's accounted for 76 touchdowns and thrown for 13 interceptions. The Bills have an absolute monster of a player at quarterback, MVP runner-up. Another thing you want to talk about, Miami's secondary is so good, right? Miami's defense is so good. Well, Dominic Barabaz comes in on Twitter, makes a great comment. As good as the Miami Dolphins defense is, they ain't good against Josh Allen. Josh Allen would play a full 17-game season against the Dolphins based on stats from his previous 5.5 games. Here are what they would be. He'd have 4,828 passing yards, 53 touchdowns, 12 picks, over 1,000 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns. The best quarterback season ever. A franchise quarterback sets you apart. A franchise quarterback is what makes you different. We just had this conversation about why I put Sean McDermott above Bill Belichick. When Bill Belichick had a franchise quarterback, he had a one-up on us because our quarterback was still developing. When Sean McDermott got his franchise quarterback and Bill Belichick lost his, Sean McDermott had his number. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence at all. If Josh Allen hadn't developed the way he did last year, you know what we'd be telling us this? You know what we'd be telling ourselves this offseason? Or you know what other people would be thinking this offseason in other fan bases? The New York Jets would be thinking to themselves, man, that Robert Saleh, I like the way he talks in press conferences. I think he can muster up a feisty defense that can play better than their talent because of the defensive coach. And their offense with a young Zach Wilson and the talent around him and the decent offensive line can muster up enough points to sneak us into the playoffs, a la the 2017 Buffalo Bills. Guess what? You ain't going to be the 2017 Buffalo Bills if you're the New York Jets because you got a guy like Josh Allen standing in your way. 2 losses right there. You're the Miami Dolphins thinking to yourself oh man, we got a really good defense, probably one of the better secondaries in the league. We have all this talent, these skill position players, so much speed, all these things. But guess what? Your quarterback's not Josh Allen, it's Tua Tagovailoa. There's 2 losses right there. New England Patriots. Oh, we're going to try to run the ball down people's throats. We're going to have one of the better defenses in the league. It's all fine. It's all good. We're going to go back to dominating this division again. Bill Belichick's going to do what Bill Belichick always did. Even though, the offense might not be perfect, we'll play really good defense and we'll get it done. That's the Patriot way. Not anymore. Because Josh Allen is standing in your way. A franchise quarterback is standing in your way. That leads me to my last tweet right here from my man Justice over at Built in Buffalo. The biggest weakness of our roster was the line on both sides of the ball. So Bean goes out and he drafts all linemen and brings back 98% of the starters and coaching staff with an even more mature Josh Allen. And I'm supposed to be humble? 15 wins minimum? Let's pull up our schedule here. I have 4 teams highlighted. Those are the teams that will most likely be the betting favorites when they play the Buffalo Bills this year. The Kansas City Chiefs on the road, the Tennessee Titans on the road, the New Orleans Saints on the road, which I don't agree with, but they probably will be, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road. Those 4 games highlighted are the only 4 games that I think Vegas is going to have the Buffalo Bills not the betting favorites. 17 minus 4 is 13. But when you have Josh Allen, you have a chance in every single one of these 4 games. So now let's take a look at our schedule again. Instead of now focusing on the betting lines, who we think are going to be favored, let's take a look at the quarterbacks. Highlighted are 2 names, Mahomes and Brady. Those are the only 2 quarterbacks on our schedule that you can make an argument are better than Josh Allen. Maybe Deshaun Watson, but I don't think he's going to be playing this year. When you have a franchise quarterback, you are never out of a football game. When you have a franchise quarterback, Big Ben looks like nothing. 40-year-old Big Ben looks like nothing. Tua looks like nothing. Trevor Lawrence, nothing. Wilson, nothing. When you have a franchise quarterback, nothing is going to get in your way. For the Buffalo Bills, 12 wins minimum. I look at the schedule. There are some trap games in here. Washington football team, great defense, the moxie of Fitz. Kansas City, Tennessee, obviously, Indy. I think New England with their defense might be able to sneak a game. New Orleans, Tampa. But I mean, come on. You look at the schedule. Josh Allen's a better quarterback than Big Ben. Got to win that football game. Josh Allen's a better quarterback than Tua. Got to win that football game. He's better than Fitz. The football team defense might keep them in it, but come on. The Houston Texans organization is a joke. Deshaun Watson or no Deshaun Watson. You got to win that football game. Then we're coming at Mahomes. And again, it's not like the game is completely out of hand. It's not like we're some gutty underdog story. It's franchise quarterback versus franchise quarterback. That into Tennessee, we won't be favored, but we should be. I don't care how bad they beat us last year. We got a franchise quarterback. They don't. Allen's better than Tua. Allen's better than Lawrence. Allen's better than Wilson. Allen's better than Wentz. Allen's better than Winston. Allen's better than Cam. We need to win these games. Better than Darnold. Better than Matt Ryan. So, in my opinion, when you got that franchise quarterback, all those thoughts in your head go away. All those thoughts go away. Oh, well, the Patriots, they have such a good defense, and they're going to run the ball so well behind that offensive line. I'm scared. Those thoughts go away. Oh, the Miami Dolphins got a really good defense, and Tua's got so many weapons. Not scared. Those thoughts go away when you have that franchise quarterback. Chris Jenke coming in saying, how do you rank the GMs and the long snappers in the AFC East? I'd say Brandon Beane is number one right now. It's tough. That's a tough question. I really haven't put too much thought on it, so I'm not going to wrap my head. I'm not going to be able to give you the most polished response in the world, but I would probably say number two right now is Joe Douglas, because I like the foundation he's setting there in the New York with the coach. I don't think he's overpaying for any players. He's being patient. He's not trying to do it all in one off season like Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was total panic. I think they're better off at the quarterback position than the other two teams. I'd probably put Chris Greer number three, even though I think Miami's making a ton of mistakes. They keep recycling offensive coordinators. They keep, just seems like changing their mind on a bunch of things. And then I put New England number four because I think they're in total panic mode. And I think Bill Belichick's had too much control over that organization for too long. And yeah, Reed Ferguson puts us over the top. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's what I got for you tonight. The Buffalo Bills. I think I had you worried for a minute. I think you guys for a second thought that I thought the Bills weren't the best team in the AFC East. I was playing the long game, playing the long con with you there. I think the Buffalo Bills are the top team in the AFC East. So, keep tuned into the Buffalo Fanatics. We got some stuff for you this week. Tomorrow we got the BF Film Room. Sunday we got the Writers Room. We'll have the 585 report dropping on the Pod Network tomorrow. We'll have Buffalo Bootleg dropping Sunday. You can catch me Monday. Dave's back. Kendall's back. The Air Raid Hour is back on Monday. Tuesday, I'll be sitting down with Greg Vorse, formerly of Spectrum News there in Buffalo, filling in for Rico. So it's Judgment Week. Beyond 4 days. Wednesday, you got Bot. Thursday, you got Air Raid Hour. And then Friday, super pumped about Friday. Friday night, it's your night, guys. So on Friday night, what I want to do is, if you have something you want to talk about, you can join me right here, whether it be like your phone and there's just a little cartoon character, or whether you want to join me face to face, mano a mano camera style. If you want to join this show, if you have something you want to talk about, shoot me a DM on Twitter, send me an email, thebillsguys@gmail.com. Let me know. I'll give you all the details. I want to line up 10, 15 guests on next Friday. I truly wanted to make like a round table, around the horn style. You guys pick the topics. You guys run the show, not just in the comment section, but right here on camera as well. So let me know if you want to join the show. I'm going to be reaching out to some of the regulars. I think I've already talked to Randy and Chris and Richard. I think I've already talked to you guys, sent you a comment. Like I want you guys in on the show, but I want some new faces as well. Maybe some people who haven't gotten on the camera or the phone before as well. So join me next Friday. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, go Bills.
I'm I'm going to do you a favor, brother. I'm going to leave it to you because if it comes out of my mouth, if it comes out of my mouth, and I sit up there and I literally articulate, I'm going to lose my mind. I ain't going to be able to do the rest of the show. I'm telling you right now. It comes out of my mouth. I'm not going to be able to control myself because I'm barely able to right now. You listen to this. I can't take it.
One-on-one, I'm undefeated, never lost.
It's on crack. I can't take this.